Green Card with Gehi is going to talk about your questions and answers with Attorney Gehi. So, as I said, the program is about your questions and answers, but we're going to talk about some burning issues in the world of immigration, critical issues which are going on. And mainly, we're going to talk about what are the issues that we are facing today from the world of immigration. The number one thing which I've been seeing is that immigration is denying a lot of these marriage-based immigration cases without a proper interview. So what is happening is that what is happening over here is that we are getting these issues that immigration is kind of basically sending not having interviews over there, and directly they are sending denial notices. So if denial notices are being sent, this means that either you were given a request for evidence and you did not submit it, or either you did not respond properly to immigration, but it is also immigration's fault on certain occasions. This is because under most circumstances, uh, depending on the facts and circumstances of the case, immigration has to offer the person an opportunity to talk to them. So that means by means of a personal interview. How can we explain this? We are going to take 3 or 4 different examples today. And then after that, we are going to kind of address those issues. Take an example. You married an American citizen. And after you married an American citizen, now you apply for the green card processing. And after you applied for the green card processing, you got a request for evidence. After you got the request for evidence, now what happened is after having the request for evidence, you submitted most of the documents. You failed to submit 1 or 2 little things. So the officer reviewed the record for the I-485 application, or the officer reviewed the record for the I-130 application, and he made a determination that based upon the sponsorship of the petitioner for the beneficiary, I'm going to deny this case because the petitioner or the beneficiary failed to give these documents. Let's take another scenario where this happens. You had an immigration interview scheduled, and sometimes it so happens that your lawyer did not show up for the interview there, and you told the immigration officer you're waiting. And sometimes these officers don't reschedule interviews. So in such instances, if that happens, I recommend people, if they are fully prepared, then they should not take a chance. They should actually go for the interview. And if you know the facts, and if your lawyer cannot be present, if he gets held up, things happen in life, then you should go for the interview. And you should only go when you're 100% prepared and you know exactly what is going on your case. Do not go if you're not fully prepared. Then you request them for an adjournment. And you tell them, I want to put it in writing that I need another date. And things happen, and I'm preparing you for something based upon the questions that I get from all of you. So this is a live show, as you all rightly know. So you can actually kind of basically, type your questions and I'll be more than happy to answer them. You can send your questions. Typing over here to make it clear to our viewers over here that I am live right now, because sometimes people think that this is a recorded show. This is a live show going on right now because it's a Wednesday, it's 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the first week of September. So that is very, very important for you all to know. So, I mean, other than that, let's take another situation. What happens sometimes? You have this fantastic case of yours, and you went for the interview, and you did the case on your own. Now, when you went over there for the interview, you forgot something which was very important for the interview. For example, you forgot to take your US citizen passport. You forgot to take your I-94. If you had a I-94 in the good old days, you forgot to take your proof of entry, or you had an improper birth certificate. What can you do? Firstly, do not take a chance by filing documents on your own. That's my recommendation, but it's your case, and you're the best judge of your case. And I'm going to tell you why. In the past, the administration was very liberal. They used to give an opportunity to cure. Officers used to give you additional time. But nowadays, what am I seeing? You have to be 100% prepared at your first interview sometimes. Only if the officer feels that there is a valid justification for him to grant an adjournment or grant you an N14, which means a document that allows you to get additional time, he will give it to you. Now, this can happen in a marriage-based immigration case. This can happen in an employment-based immigration case because you had an adjustment of status interview. Now, let's change this example into something else. You're an H-1B visa holder. Your company sponsored you for the green card. Well and fine, excellent. Your I-140 is approved. Your 485 interview is coming up. So what I've seen is sometimes people whose I-140 is approved, I tell them, try to basically make sure that you retain your own lawyer for the I-485. Do not ask the company lawyer to do it for you because you are keeping all your eggs in one basket. So what do a lot of my clients do? They ask the company lawyer, please do my I-140 once if it's approved. And if my priority date is current, I want my lawyer to handle it. Now, why is that important for you? This is important because you are retaining your own lawyer, which you're legally allowed to after the I-140 is approved. You don't have to be at the mercy of your company because if it's a company's lawyer, his best interest is towards the company, not towards you. There are times wherein I've seen that the I-485 gets denied. And then that law firm may tell you, we were represented by the company, and that is made very clear in your retainer. Now, sometimes what do some companies do? They will ask you, oh, we are going to be generous to you. We are going to pay the I-485 fee for you. You're very happy with that. But if you are thinking from a bigger perspective, in some instances, not in all instances, you may be at a loss because you cannot even get outside legal advice because that lawyer can have a conflict of interest. He's not going to tell you about your rights about moving to another employer because he's protecting the company. So that can be a conflict situation. So to make a long story short, whenever you're applying for adjustment of status, make sure that you go with any lawyer of your choice. Things are not the same. I remember an adjustment of status case about a person whose I-140 was approved by the company. And the company applied for his 485. And they asked the employee to go for the interview. The employee was very happy. He went with his wife and children, thinking that it's his best day in his life, that he's going to go there, the officer is going to stamp the passport and send him home. That did not happen. That did not happen because there were some issues about his H-1B with the company. He did not have the correct documents. And that case was denied. This person had consulted me. Once, if a case gets denied at a 485 stage, it becomes very difficult sometimes to rectify the damage. Yes, I know I'm getting questions. We are going to answer all the questions soon. This is a live show, but these are questions that are coming up from viewers like you. And I must thank you all for spreading the news that we are doing this on a regular basis. So end of the day, if you are sponsoring someone for a green card, you need to make sure that you are putting the right paperwork in. Do not go with a consultant. There are people out there, they will tell you I'm a consultant. My request, go with an attorney at law. Make sure that the lawyer is a licensed attorney at law. Do not go with somebody who doesn't know the law. Make sure the lawyer knows what's 245. Make sure that the lawyer knows what is section 201 of the INA. Make sure that if there is an issue, you can fight your entry issue under 245A, under 245I, if your grandfather. He has to be a walk-in book. If there is an issue about a criminal matter, he has to know the case law, whether the positive factors of the case outweigh the negative factors of the case. Cite the legal matter before the immigration officer. For example, if you are a good lawyer, you should know the case laws from the back of your head. Let them know about the matter of array. So that immigration officer will respect a lawyer, that this lawyer knows what he's doing. And that is very critical. If he's grandfathered, your beneficiary is grandfathered, let the immigration officer know that what grandfathering means to the officer. Now, one important issue, since I love to take up complicated cases, I want to bring this about someone. And it's so sad to see that this case was denied because the lawyer didn't do the job properly. Now, there's a person, and he had used something that was fraudulent in a CSS LULAC case. CSS LULAC cases were commonly referred to as cases that were filed between 1981 and 1988. He traveled abroad, he came back. Then he married an American citizen. Fantastic. And then the lawyer applied for the case. Immigration officer denies the case, stating that they had committed a fraud in the CSS LULAC case. Should this case have been denied? My answer, no. Because the lawyer did not cite the case law that CSS LULAC fraud in those cases was invalid. So it's good for you to retain any lawyer. You don't have to retain us. Retain a lawyer who knows the law. Look at the experience of the lawyer. And also another thing, folks, not all lawyers can have 5 stars. And if they're saying it's a 5-star all the time, I don't know what to say. Because when you go to law school, you're told in the very beginning that you can fight every case, but you cannot win every case. Not because of the lawyer. Because there are clients who mess up their immigration cases so badly that they expect lawyers to do miracles. The same situation applies when you go to a doctor. Recently, I went to a doctor. And this is the story I must tell my wonderful viewers here. And he asked me, after he finished everything, he said, Mr. Gehi, you're the first client or patient who has never asked me a question. So he said, it's very rare because everyone wants to read the internet and they feel that they know everything about medical science. So my answer was very simple to the doctor. I said, doctor, I know that I'm in your good hands. Even if I've read the book is very different. The book of medicine is very different than your practical experience in the field. So sometimes reading on the internet is good, but sometimes it's bad. So we'll take a small pause and I'm going to answer questions here. So since it's a live show, start asking your questions. So let me answer the question first from Mike Miranda from Facebook. I lost my job because I lost my temper. I'm undocumented and now don't have work. Are there any recourses for me in the US to try to get work easier? Firstly, Mr. Miranda, you have to become legal in this country. So try to get documented, and there are ways to get documented in the country. Easy way to do it is send us an email at info@gehilaw.com, and I'd be more than happy to review your situation and let you know what we can do for you. It's info@gehilaw.com. So that's my answer to Mike Miranda. Uh, the next one is from Jetan Balijaj. My cousin is getting married in Albania legally, but they want the reception over here. How can we do this? Okay, if they are married in Albania, what we can do is we do the paperwork here. When they come in, they can have the reception over here. So that shouldn't be a problem, and we can assist you with this matter, Jitan. That shouldn't be a problem, really. Skorin Plumot from Facebook. I live in Denmark, beautiful country, and I work in solar energy. Pay in the US is better. How can I work in solar in the US? So what you can do is, Soren, you need to look for a company that can sponsor you for the green card. That would be your best bet. And if you're very talented, apply for jobs in the US. And if you find an employer, you should consider that. Or you can come to the US, visit America, and then after that, you can just see what your options would be. That's my answer to Soren. Friedrich, my family got the money on the Delhi, which got burned down during protests. We're now being faced with homelessness. I'm here on a student visa. What can I do to get a home and food? I don't want to break the law. Firstly, I'm very, very sorry, Mr. British, that you have to undergo the sad situation. Uh, I think what you need to do is, if you're on a student visa, uh, best thing is for you to get in touch with your student advisor and ask him about your options. There's something which is known as an off-campus work authorization. So you can apply for the off-campus work authorization. And if you get that, then you should be able to work. So speak to a student advisor about applying for an off-campus work authorization. So that's my answer to your question. So next one from Stephen Diaz. Please explain to me the R visa and how that works. Good question, Steve. R visa is called as a religious worker. And if you are a religious worker in your country, and if you want to come in America, you can apply for a job in a church which is of the same denomination. And if you have more than 2 years of experience, and if you're a priest, and if you have an ordination certificate, and if you're going to work with the same church, and if you are currently working there, and if your employment is continuous, then you can qualify for the R visa. So if you have any questions, you can email us. So we basically handled a lot of R visas, but the key question is that you should be working in a religious denomination. That is very important. So that's my answer to the question for, regarding the R visa to Stephen Diaz. Simon Pritchard from Facebook. I love the show. I think you should open a location in Brooklyn. Thank you so much. I must say about this wonderful compliment, Simon. There's a reason that I don't open a lot of offices. And I've been asked by a lot of people from all over the world to open offices everywhere. Uh, Thank you so much. God bless you for that. But I believe in maintaining the quality of my work. I still supervise as many cases as possible. I'm not perfect, but I try to make sure that I do my best for everybody. So therefore, if I'm going to open a lot of offices, it'll be difficult for me to maintain the quality of the work. So I have clients from all over the US, right from Brooklyn, Manhattan, Bronx, even from Alaska. I can proudly tell you that. But I prefer basically making sure that I can bite as much as I can chew, because I don't want to chew more than I can bite. So thank you so much. But in future, we will definitely consider that. But I have an office in Ozone Park that can help you if you have any issues. That's 718-577-0711. So the next question is, so we have all these fantastic, so these are the locations, and you all can look at our locations of Gehi Associates, and you can go through it. So let's take the next question now. And please continue asking your questions. This is something I love about all of you. So next question is from Alista Letera from Facebook. My boyfriend wants us to move to the UK for schooling. Do I have to worry about getting a visa? I live in the US and I'm a citizen. So you want to basically move to the UK for his schooling. So if you're moving to the UK, you need to check with the laws of the UK as to how long you're allowed to live there. If not, he can sponsor you for permanent residence to UK and you can live there. So do not violate the law. Don't work in the UK until you get papers. The UK is very strict when it comes to immigration. I'm getting divorced. Now, this is from Dylan Blaze on Facebook. Good evening, Dylan. I'm getting divorced because my wife was abusive towards me, was constantly hit and yelled at. But I don't want to lose half my money and things I own. Is there a way to have this not happen? My sons will testify on my behalf. Yes, Dylan, what you'll have to do, if you are in New York, I can give you legal advice. But if in another state about a matrimonial matter, I'm only allowed to handle matrimonial cases in the state of New York. So my answer is, if this is New York, you need to consider equitable distribution. And I know you have your hard-earned money, and that's the law you need to read about. Or you can come in and see us and meet with us, and our firm will be happy to consult with you. These are some of the questions which were answered by me. So if you have any more questions, you all can kind of basically email us. And the best way for you guys, I've been getting a lot of these things. What is the best way to get in touch with you or your law firm? info@gehilaw.com, or come to our offices, meet with us. And this show is watched all over the world. And thank you to each one of you for sharing this video. And because of public demand, we had to even change the show into your questions, your immigration questions and answers with Attorney Gehi on Green Card with Gehi. So every week, if you have any immigration question, this is your chance. This is your opportunity. You work for an employer, come over here. If it's an H-1B question, come over here. If it's a labor certification question, come on this program. Easy way to do it. You can subscribe to our channel. You can put it on your computer as a reminder so that you can be here regularly. And you learn a lot. And it's so easy. If you want me to talk about a particular topic, email us, info@gehilaw.com, or type your message here. And I can promise you, we'll try to make sure that we take that topic up. This is known as the public demand show. But be respectful, because we have children on the show and these shows are recorded. Any profane language that offends a child, offends anybody, will be taken very seriously by the law firm. So we want to make sure that we keep it clean, we keep it nice. Any defamation will be taken seriously for anybody against any person of any race, any alienage, any national origin, because we all are children of one God. Doesn't matter if you like immigrants or you dislike immigrants. I consider myself to be a child of God, and I consider everybody to be equal. When I'm going to go to my God, He's going to judge me of what kind of human being I was, irrespective of my race, alienage, or my national origin. So the bottom line is, respect everybody. You should respect your black brothers as much as your white brothers, as well as your brown brothers. That's what God wants us to do. So that is very important, and that is what immigration law is all about. It's about respect. And this is such a small planet we live in. And we have divided ourselves into countries, then after that into cities, into states, into boroughs, into counties, and we have divided mankind based upon so many different factors. I had very good teachers who just taught me one thing: the value of being a good human being. And I want all of you to respect immigrants, understand their concerns, and make sure that exactly, even if someone is a citizen respect them. Make sure that respect comes first, then comes everything else. So, I mean, if there are any more questions, please do let us know. We'd be happy to answer you. So let me see. My fiance is on a student visa and I'm a PR in Canada. My fiance is on a student visa and I'm a permanent resident in Canada. How should I go ahead with her PR? Should I sponsor in between her student visa or let her apply on herself? Now, you are an American citizen. No, you are a PR in Canada. I'm sorry. So I do not do Canadian PR. So you will have to deal with a Canadian lawyer. If this was an American related question, I would be happy to answer you. But you need to speak to a Canadian attorney who can help you with that question. And that's my answer to your question. I apologize, we are not licensed to practice law in Canada with Canadian immigration. But if this was related to US law, I would be more than happy to answer your question. So if you have more questions, please type your questions. Please type. Any more questions? So if there are any more questions on the live show, you all can let me know. Okay, there's a question here from Vignesh Natarajan. I'm currently working in L1A on 2020, and I'm in the process of applying for my L1A extension through my current employer. That'll be my first extension. I also have my I-140 approved under EB2 category, and my priority date is one, so my nationality is Indian. So there's a huge backlog waiting period for G. That is correct. I also have an approved H1B by another government, and the petition validity date is one. So go for stamping while I was in India due to the reason my persons are my old H1B approval notice and a recent I-140 approval. So my first answer to your question is that exactly this can be a little complicated during the show. So if you have an L1A, the smarter thing for you to do is to get your I-140 approved under the L1A category, and through that, it may be faster for you to get a green card. That is my number one recommendation for you. So that would be the ideal way for you to look at. But if you're looking at EB2s, and if you're looking at 2019, and if you're from India, that's going to take a very long time for you. So the second question is, I also have an H1B approved, which was filed by an invalidated. So as far as the H1B petition is concerned, that's already kind of, the dates have already passed. So there's nothing for you to worry about if you did not work for that employer. As far as you did not violate your status in this country, as far as Vignesh, you're constantly working and you have all the records, there's nothing for you to worry about that old H1B if you did not work with the employer. So as far as all, during that time, if you're working for another company, you're good, Vignesh. So that's my answer to Vignesh's question. So if there's any other question, the next question is from Saima. For employment-based green card applicant, do USCIS verify spouse job history to? A good question. If your spouse has not violated his status and if he's legal, then there's nothing for him to worry about. But when you're going to apply for his green card, of course, they're going to look at what he did in the country. So they want to see that he did not violate the law, because this does not relate to the employer, but this relates to the adjustment of status application that you're going to apply for the spouse. So the best thing is that even if the company has a lawyer, your spouse can retain us, or they can retain another law firm in such cases. So therefore, it will be good for you, Saima, to have a lawyer for your husband. So that's my answer to Saima's question. So folks, if you have any other question, our time is running out, so that we can answer one or two more questions. Let me see who's the lucky one next. All right. Okay, there's a So Andrew, I mean, this is what we need to do. I think since you are a client, I cannot answer the question online. But Andrew, firstly, I hope you're doing well. Your family is doing well. And do me a favor, come in and see us anytime you want. Make an appointment. I'd be happy to give an update. But unfortunately, under the law, I'm not allowed to give an update because this is a public ed program, and I cannot because the privilege applies. So you can come in and see us anytime you want at one of our offices, or email us at info@gehi.com so I can give you an update for that. Thank you, and I hope you're doing well and your family is doing well. So let's see about some other questions that we may have from our viewers here. Okay, so folks, I think we've answered enough questions. And as I said, before I leave, a few recommendations. The name of the show is Your Question and Answers with Attorney Gehi on Green Card with Gehi. So spread the word, spread the message. Any immigration question, anywhere in the world, log on to the show, subscribe to our show, spread the word that exactly we have the show for you to answer your immigration questions. And as you know, that we don't charge a fee on the show to answer your question. So there are people who have watched the show and actually they never thought that they had a case. And they also took advantage of a free consultation policy. They came in and they realized that they had a case. And guess what? These are people who were here in this country for many years and they were undocumented. And they never knew that they had hope. And guess what? We gave them hope and we are working with them. So if you are in a situation wherein you're depressed about your immigration pattern, if you're an abuser spouse, and if you want to apply for citizenship, if you know someone who's struggling to become a citizen, someone who doesn't speak good English, and if you know even a friend, you may be able to help them because we can help those people. Someone who's undocumented, someone that you want to sponsor, someone, if your fiance is in a foreign country, if you're sponsoring your spouse, you're sponsoring your relative, or if you are in a foreign country and if you want to come in through an investor visa, if you want to apply for a religious visa, doesn't matter where you are in the world. We handle American immigration cases from New York and all over the world. Thank you for watching this program brought to you by Gehi and Associates. Thank you for watching Green Card with Gehi, your question and answers with Attorney Gehi. The instant program is an attorney.com, or come in and see us. Visit any of our three offices, one in Forest Hills, one in Brooklyn, sorry, one in Forest Hills, one in Ozone Park, and one in Jamaica, New York. Thank you. We'll be back again next week. And if you have any further questions, let me take this last message, I believe, for this lucky viewer. One more minute. All right, so we are done with all the messages. See you again next week on Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Distribute the show, watch the show, and ask us questions on Zoom. Thank you.